Hi guys, welcome back to today's video. I'm always like excited and motivated on a Monday. I just put a property under contract. We signed a listing Saturday. I actually have offers that I can present to my seller. Good morning. All right, I got this seller lead from last year. He called me because I think I sold a property in that same block. And he initially called me, scheduled for a listing presentation. I went over and I was a little nervous last year. I didn't tell him a pricing. That's the problem. I didn't tell him a pricing. He said that he's not ready. There is some title issue. I don't know if it's a way that he's trying to like blow me off, but we still kept in touch. I never really give up on this lead, so I always call him every 3 months from last year springtime until this year springtime. Like we always kept in touch. So I spoke to him this spring during March and he told me it's almost ready, and then he asked me if I know anybody who can do the lawn service for him. So I have a guy who cut the lawn for a lot of my sellers, and I just kind of told the guy to go cut the grass every 2 weeks, and I've been paying for that property for like 3 months. And every time I called him, my seller said that because COVID, it takes time for the title to be completely ready, so we just keep postpone for like 4 or 5 months. But I've been still paying for the lawn service, and I told Steve, and then he's like, well, I can't believe you do that for them, just kind of pay ahead of time. It's not a lot of money, but 3 weeks ago I received something in the mail that sent it to my office. It's a check. It says from the seller for this property for the lawn service, and I'm like, oh, he never really forgot about me, he knows I'm paying for the lawn, and he wants to like pay me, and he wrote me the check. And then he handwrite that his daughter will be in touch with me. I will be the agent to sell the property. So I've always like remembered, like, this is my listing, it's gonna come on the market. I was excited about it. I think last month it was Joey's birthday, and I told him I was gonna get him something. I just don't know what to get for him. I got him a coffee machine. He always loves to make latte, so I brought this coffee machine. Nobody has used it, so I'm gonna go give it a try. I don't know how this is gonna work. This espresso or cappuccino? This is like this. What the? Oh, this looks good. Has been locked in at their own house last year. I didn't really take any vacation time last year, being like non-stop working 2020, and this year has been pretty much the same thing. So I was in the middle of like planning a trip. We just want to go on like a mini vacation, but when I was like booking the airplane ticket this weekend, I got a phone call from a referral. So he wants to meet me like sometime midweek this week, and it just made me realize, like, if I'm on vacation and someone wants to meet for a listing appointment, I would be so mad if I'm unavailable. And I just can't bear myself to think about missing a listing appointment, because I want a listing. Like, there's nothing else I would rather do besides going on a listing appointment. So with that being said, I just told my husband, I was like, why don't we just take a weekend, like go out every weekend to celebrate, like enjoy life, tasting good food at different restaurants. Weekend we went to a restaurant in Old City, and I don't know, it's just really fun to dress up and relax, enjoy good food, and have a drink. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Like, I don't think that I will go on vacation nor this year. Maybe the end of this year, I'm not sure. But it's funny how I think about my business. It always gets busy during the winter time. Not really the summer. It's kind of go against like real estate rule. Usually agents are super busy during the summer because they're a majority buyer who's looking for houses, right? But as listings, I tend to get busier during the holidays. In today's video, we are going to cover the topic of cold calling. I'm going to do a video on how to get listings for separate two-part video. This video, we're specifically going to talk about cold call. How exactly do you do it step by step? And I'm going to do a Q&A. At the end of the video, I will also conclude 5 tips that I give it to you guys for cold calling. A lot of people have been asking me, does cold call really works nowadays? And the short answer is yes. If you believe this works and then you stay on a consistent schedule for cold calling, I guarantee you that this will work. And I pretty much built my whole business. I'll say 65% of my business is through directly cold calling. It's insane for me to think about that I do business with strangers all the time. I still get constantly referrals from my first initial cold call seller that they refer my business out. Basically, you are going to need to set up all the technical stuff. That's including the most important one is $1. I have been using Mojo as $1 since day one, and I love their CRM system. So all my leads and all the hot leads, which is sellers who are thinking about selling in the next 1 to 3 years, are on my computer. So it helps me when I do follow-up calls. It helps me and remind me when I need to send out follow-up letter, postcard. And so besides the $1 that you're going to need, also you need a cell phone. So I just use iPhone. I pair that up with my Bluetooth Beats headphone, which I don't have it with me. I'll have a set. So I get one of these. I actually have 3 pairs and I use them. The only downside about those is they are only good for 4 or 5 hours. So typically I need to have 2 of these in my office in case this one died. I will charge this and then use another separate pair. You also will need a list. Now, when I talk about this list, I want to cover what prospect do I use most of the time. It's the feature on Mojo, which is called neighborhood search. So areas that's near where my office is, and then I just go by zip codes, a couple of zip codes that I sell most of my listings. So I do cold call and I start like street up and down. And normally when I do cold call, it sounds like this. This is so-and-so from what company, and I'm calling to see if you might be thinking about selling your house. If they say no, then I go ahead and ask, would it be a possibility that you are thinking about selling a few years down the road? Or are you thinking about selling in a few years down the road? And then if it's 2 hard no's, sometimes I'll go again and say, hey, do you happen to know anybody who might be thinking about selling or buying real estate? Usually, 99% of the time, before I ask the 3rd question, they already hung up. But when I do a cold call for neighborhood, my goal is to get the no quick enough so I can move on to the next call. I want set 4 to 5 appointments in a week, and my goal is to take 1 listing per week, and that's my goal. I don't stop calling until I reach that goal. That you're doing a hard work, right? If you think about like workers, the construction workers out there when it's 100 degrees out and they're building like roof, they're building new construction, and that is legit hard work. But how can it be a hard work if you're literally just sitting in the AC room and calling people? That is not hard work at all. But if you do it right, I guarantee you that you can get so many listings, especially with many years of building that database. And you're good on the phone, you know how to convert leads into listing and actually get listings sold. And that is a great strategy for agents to leverage their business. Now, the first important key about cold calling is you have to sound confident. I know it could be challenging for people, especially when they first start, they have no idea what they're doing. So it's kind of hard for you to believe in yourself when you are doing cold call. What I did when I first started, I had a supporting group, which I kind of called with a bunch of agents who are also new agents in other part of the state. So we kind of do it via Zoom or Google Hangouts. So a bunch of people are also going to be like in front of the screen, and then I'll be doing my cold call and they'll be doing their cold call. I can mute them once I need to speak, so I don't get any distraction from the people on the screen. Feel free to click the link down below and join my private Facebook group. I know still there are many new agents. Every time they join the group, they are looking for accountability partner. And number 2 is when you're doing cold call, right? You gotta sound besides confident, you also needs to be very straightforward. And that's how I like to do it, because nowadays people, they don't want anyone that wastes their time. I never start my cold calling by saying, hey, how are you? Like, how are you doing today, sir? Like, nobody really cares. I just like to get straight to the point. Introduce yourself and what's the purpose of the call. If they're not thinking about selling, they want to get rid of you on the phone because they don't want to waste their time. And so do you. You want to move on to your next call. So make your script short, straight on the point, and talk slow so they can understand you is a key point. And number 3 is when you do cold call, make sure there's no distraction in the room whatsoever. I like to do cold call in my office because I get in my zone, you know, in the work mode. I see other people making deals together, walking around on the phone, talking to clients. That get me excited, that get me motivated, that I want to make some work too. So I like to have a closed space where, you know, I have an office space in the in my brokerage where I just stay there and then do cold calls. Sometimes when I get tired, I have a stand-up desk too, and that really helps you with your posture. And number 4 is you need to be ready when the prospect is saying yes. Your problem don't really start until you get a yes. You gotta go straight into pre-qualify if this is a legit seller lead, right? So in my course, I taught all my students like how to qualify a seller, how to schedule a listing appointment. I won't be covering any details in this video, but if you're interested, make sure you click the link down below. I have a course link down there for you guys. And last but not least is you need to keep the cold calling as a habit, as a routine. Don't just start for a week and hoping that you are going to get a listing. That will never happen unless you're super lucky. I remember when I did cold calling, I will always start from Monday to Saturday, and I'll take Sunday off. Sometimes I'll still call a couple hours on Sunday, but I just don't get on the phone until I have a legit lead that day. Because like I said, my goal is to have 1 listing per week, and it's really crucial, especially at the beginning, to get that goal because you don't get any referrals. So keep it as a habit. If it's tough for you to do it that many hours, try to stick with like 2-hour routine every day, just 2 hours, you know, like dress up or get a stand-up desk, have everything ready, set up 2 hours a day. It took me 2 months to close my first cold call listing. So once I get that listing closed, once I set that listing appointment, I was like, that's it. That is something that I really want to do, and I know for a fact that it works. So don't focus on, you know, the direct result right away. Focus on the process and believe in yourself that you will get that result. So I hope you guys enjoy the part 1 of how to get listings through cold calling. If you have any specific question, make sure you're linked down below. Let me know what your questions are. Also, comment fortune cookies if you have watched until this far. In the next video, the part 2, I'll be covering how I use and leverage social media to get myself more buyer and seller leads too. So stay tuned on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.